It is so interesting that I am a soul and my father is the ocean of virtues. I come from the soul world, which is the world of peace. But here, when we are body conscious, we are taught to look for peace and seek peace. Look for happiness, seek happiness. And this is such a deep programming that happiness has to come from outside, or peace has to come from outside, or love has to come from someone. It is so deep that we never turn our attention towards Baba for that. We don't know that, you can feel loved and loveful or happy or peaceful if you remember Baba. So we don't know how to just turn our attention towards Baba and experience peace, love, happiness. And second thing, we don't know that we can actually hold that what we receive from Baba in our being and actually be a giver of that all day. So rather than seeking peace, love, happiness, my eyes, my face, my mouth, my vibrations, they can be a source of peace and happiness in this world. Only if I just remember Baba, and in that remembrance, if I'm colored by Baba's qualities, then I can be an instrument for peace and happiness in this world. And without knowing yourself or knowing Baba and knowing how to remember Baba and sit in the realization of yourself as Baba's child, we cannot stop being a beggar. And although in the world there is so much education about do this, don't do that, but your doing is an aspect of your being. But nobody teaches us how to improve the state of the being. They just tell you, don't do this, do that. But how do you do something else if you are the same? So yesterday I was giving the course to one sister, and she told me that I checked so many times in the day and I tried to change my thought. So she told me that I have this fear-based thinking. I engage in fear-based thinking a lot. And now that I'm aware that whatever you think, whatever your imagination is your preview to the future. So whatever you are visualizing in a fear-based manner is something that you are invoking in your life. So as I have understood in these sessions that it works like that, so I take care that I check and try to change my fear-based thinking. But then she said, I cannot change, I check and I'm more and more becoming aware that I'm thinking in a fearful manner. Earlier I was not even aware, but now I'm aware, but I cannot change. So I told her that, you cannot change just by knowing you have to change. You need the understanding and the power both. And the power comes from yoga. And what is yoga? Sitting, turning my attention to Baba, the being who is the ocean of virtues and powers, and sitting in the awareness that I am Baba's child and I'm like him. And drawing into myself those qualities, those virtues, those powers that Baba has. And the more and more I understand the kind of being I am, then that doing which Baba is teaching will flow automatically. But if I do not pay attention to yoga, if I don't pay attention to sitting in the remembrance of Baba and sitting in the realization that I'm like Baba by virtue of being his child, if I don't engage my time and thought and energy in this conscious practice, then I will be the same. And however much I know that this is pap, this is punya, this is vikarma, this is good karma, because now when we read the Murli, we know everything. But I will not be in a position to change that, because change doesn't require only understanding. It requires power as well. Of course, understanding is a very big part, because earlier we did not know why we are going downhill despite making the best of efforts. But now we understand that, okay, it is because of these vices. But then how do I change that? I need power for that. So, and this belief system that, happiness will come from things and love will come from people and peace will come from a silent place, or a temple, or this or that, these belief systems are so limiting that it takes quite a while to build that relationship with Baba, wherein we realize that Baba is the ocean, and just remembering Baba is remembering the source of peace, is being peaceful. So first, it takes a certain time to experiment and then experience, and then for that experience to become a sanskar. So all of that takes time. So this is something that I was just thinking in Amrit Vela about this deep programming that we have about where to look for peace, love and happiness, and where to look for knowledge, because we think that, the scriptures and maybe parents or teachers, they will give you knowledge. But Baba says, no, I am the one who gives you knowledge and I am the one who gives you power, but I teach you the method and you have to draw the power. So that is something. Now today in the Murli there is a song, claim the blessings of the mother and father and the burden of sins will go away. So, ले लो दुआएं माँ बाप की, सर से गठरी उतरे पाप की. So that is the song today. Now Baba today says that this song is not about the blessings of Lokik parents, because although Lokik parents have been blessing us and touching the feet of Lokik parents and they raising their hand to bless us, all of this thing has been going on for years and generations and everything, but the burden of sins has only increased, it has not decreased. So this is why Baba says that you don't, so when it is said that take the blessings of parents, of mother and father, and that will relieve you of the burden of sins, it is not about Lokik parents. Because, so this whole question about blessings, so, it's a very interesting question, because sometimes, you think that somebody is not blessing you, but then but then if that soul is a vicious soul, they are not capable of blessing. and they will only bless you if you do something that is in accordance with their sanskar of vices. Okay, so I think that then if you are after blessings, then that quest for blessings of vicious souls will actually make you very vicious. So it is very important that we understand that when it is said le lo duaएं माँ बाप की, so it is about taking Baba's blessings. So Baba is the mother and father, and technically Brahma Baba is the mother and Shiv Baba is the father. So Baba says, have a relationship with Brahma Baba, Shiv Baba, be honest in that relationship and take blessings. And how do you take blessings? You don't take blessings by seeking blessings. So if you just go before Baba and say, bless me, bless me, bless me, will that work? So that won't work. So Baba says, I teach you the method to take blessings also, or earn blessings. And that that method is to follow Shrimat accurately and have good activity, chal chalan. So all your chal chalan, your actions or activity has to be good. And when you follow Shrimat, then you earn blessings. So blessings are not begged for, blessings are earned. And Baba says, blessings only Shiv Baba gives. So blessings can only be received by this mother and father, Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba. And today Baba underlines that Brahma Baba's certificate is also very important. So Baba says that both, I rely on Brahma Baba's certificate, and when Brahma Baba says, okay, this child is serviceable and he gives happiness to everyone and doesn't cause sorrow to anyone, then my blessings are also with that child. So basically there are three things that Baba tells. So first is, this child is serviceable. So this child serves with body, mind and wealth. So that act of service, that earns blessings. Then second is, you give happiness to everyone. And how do you give happiness? By introducing them and connecting them to the source of happiness, which is Baba. And third is, not give sorrow to anyone. Now this is a very technical aspect because what do we mean by not giving sorrow to anyone? Not giving sorrow to anyone is not doing anything out of vices. So whenever you act viciously, you are giving sorrow. So when you are under the influence of ego, anger, attachment, greed, lust, that is when you give sorrow. So that is the karma ki gati of sorrow. You have to understand that even if, even if the other person doesn't recognize it, and in that moment they feel that they are being very happy because you are attached to them, that is giving sorrow. And I will tell you one thing. There was this this woman or girl or whatever you would call her. She came to me after COVID, and she was crying like anything, and she was crying so badly, I would say, that even my heart wrenched for a moment, and it was that kind of a cry. And when I asked her what happened, she told me that my husband died in COVID and I was only married for 1.5 years. And she was very young, and she told me that my husband died, and she kept crying and kept saying he was very nice. And she told me he just took care of me. He just, I was so carefree in his presence. I never had to take care of anything, and he took care of my emotions, my needs, my likes, dislikes, everything. And she just kept crying and saying repeatedly he was very nice. And then I asked him, would you have cried less if he was less nice? So then she said, probably yes. So you see that when you are so out of attachment, what do? You take on the, you don't enable the other person. You just make them weak and more dependent emotionally, physically, financially, every which way. And then when it's time to leave, you cannot decide, I'll leave another day. So you will leave in a second, and then what happens to the person? They suffer such a lot. And I've seen so many people suffer so much because of attachment, because even when, children, people are so attached to children, and then in the normal course of transition, children will not be that attached to parents after a certain period of time, and then parents suffer a lot because of that attachment, or they try to maintain that attachment and interfere in their lives beyond a point, and they mess up their lives also. That also happens. So attachment also gives a lot of sorrow. So Baba says you have to look at it in an unlimited way. It's not like when the other person feels sorrow, it is sorrow. But Baba says you don't give sorrow, which means that you as a knowledgeful soul must know that you are not acting out of lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed and ego. So you have to understand that you check what actions are you performing. Are you acting out of ego? Are you acting out of anger? See, because only you know what you're doing. So, you can give a correction out of ego, you can give a correction out of good wish. Okay, so, but you know what you're doing, nobody else knows that. So, if I give a correction to somebody and I'm doing it out of ego, or I want to put the other person down, or I have some kind of, my ego has been attacked by that person and I'm just trying to give it back, or I have a deep good wish for that person and I am genuinely sharing what Baba has told me so that they can also pick on it and mend their ways. So what am I doing is only known to me. So this is why it is very important that we check deeply in ourselves whether I am giving sorrow or not giving sorrow. Am I acting out of lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed? That's the question I have to ask myself. And Baba says that if you don't give sorrow, then it's fine. And sometimes, people will be upset with you anyway. So there are souls who will be upset with you anyway. So because, their idea of happiness or their expectation or whatever is not met, and it is okay if somebody is upset with you. But then when they are upset with you, the difficulty is, and I have, so I always think about this thing, that sometimes you don't have to do anything. So there is nothing you can do basically in many situations. But there is an attitude which you have to hold, you know. Let's say there is a situation where somebody is upset with you. Now, when somebody is upset with you, you understand that, I have not done anything against Srimad, and maybe somebody is upset because of their own sanskar or something. But then what should be your bhavana at that time? Or what should be your attitude at that time? That's a very big question, because one thing is, okay, you are not in the wrong, there is nothing you can do about it, all that is okay. But what is the attitude or the bhavana that you need to hold at that time? So Baba today gives us that yukti very nicely. And Baba says, when somebody is upset with you, then you tell Baba. You tell Baba that, Baba, this is what happened and this soul is upset with me. And you give it to Baba and become free. Because sometimes when, even if you have not given any sorrow, even if you know that, you've been on Srimad, still when somebody is upset, you will fall into the trap of taking sorrow or criticizing their behavior or engaging in, I didn't do this, so why this, why that. So refrain from all of that and just give it to Baba. And and you are Baba's instrument, so then when you give it to Baba, what will Baba give that soul? Baba will give that soul power and compassion. And you also hold in your heart that power and compassion which Baba is giving and give it to that soul. So that's a very good method. So A is, you do not cause sorrow. B, if somebody is upset, then you give that to Baba and take from Baba what Baba gives you and have that attitude for the soul. So it's not your place to, you cannot take care of that soul individually. So if somebody is upset, they are not in a position to listen to you or take your help. So at that time you have to remember Baba and give that thing to Baba, clear your heart, and then fill your heart with Baba's gifts, and in that way you will be able to hold good wishes for the soul. So that's very important. Baba tells that thoughts are okay, but do not engage in karma, there will be no sin. No, Baba doesn't say thoughts are okay, but Baba says initially when we begin the journey, we will not be able to guarantee that no storms will come in the mind. So at least in the beginning, don't engage in karma. Don't act out of it. But slowly, gradually work on the thoughts also. Okay. So this is it. So then Baba says that if the child is serviceable, if the child doesn't give sorrow to anybody and gives happiness to everybody, then Brahma Baba would also certify that this child is eligible for the throne or the heart throne of Baba, and Shiv Baba will also allow that child on his heart throne. And what is Baba's heart throne? Baba's heart throne is a very attractive place to be in, because it is full of, everything that the soul needs. So when we function in this manner, when we act in this manner, then you always feel like you are sitting in Baba's heart throne. So that is something. Then today Baba also talks about service. And Baba says, what is real service? Real social service. So Baba says, what service are you spiritual servants doing with Baba at this time? So, the world doesn't know spiritual service, yes, but Baba teaches us spiritual service, and the world knows only social service. And social service is held in very high order these days. Yes, so there are so many donations that are given to social service, and there are NGOs who claim to do social service. But if you look at all of that, Baba says there is a lot of corruption in that also. But Baba says this service is not like that social service. And Baba says, what is the service that Baba teaches? So Baba teaches us to be pure and purify not only souls, but even the 5 elements of nature. So Baba says this service of purifying everyone, purifying the world, that is real spiritual service that Baba teaches us. And how do you purify? By first being pure. So if you can't be pure, how can you purify? So Baba says, being pure and engaging your body, mind and wealth in this service of making pure. So, because every service needs investment. If there is a service, somebody has to give their time, life, energy, money, everything. Only then service will take place. So Baba says, I teach you the service to be pure and make pure. And this is the only service that is there. And there was this one sister who had come for the course, and she told me that I have a problem with the way you people live in the center. So I said, what is it? So she said, you people don't socialize, you don't go out, you don't party or holiday or whatever she was saying. And she said that when I think about that, I feel that maybe, I wouldn't like to be in such a lifestyle where you can't socialize. So I said, who told you we don't socialize? How many people do you meet in a day? So she said maybe 4, 5, 10, 20. So I said, I meet 100 people every day. So obviously, or more than 100 if you count the, online classes and everything. So that is how much we socialize. But we socialize with, with pure intent, and we socialize with the attitude of serving and giving, and we socialize with like-minded souls who are receptive to this spiritual giving and taking. And you socialize randomly and with the attitude of, getting and begging and receiving. So you go to a party and you are begging for attention, and then you're begging for a compliment, and then you return from the party in that attitude only, because nobody gave a compliment the whole night. And she said, I'll tell you what, this exactly happened yesterday. And I was in a party and I was wearing a dress, a neon dress, and then I was not very confident about it, and then nobody complimented me, and then I have today decided to throw away that dress because I felt that probably it was not a good choice. So you see that how do you make pure and be pure? So first thing is, so the thing is, Baba has given us the understanding of purity, power of purity, and Baba has also given us the the Swaman of purity, because um, purity is something that we embrace by choice, and we are very proud of this pure life, whether it is pure thinking, pure living, pure eating, pure dressing. So, everything, purity of intent, purity of action. So, only when you understand purity, when you imbibe purity, and when you're proud of purity, when you're proud of being a pure soul and you understand that it's a very elevated state to be in, only then can you make pure and be, make pure, or encourage or motivate somebody to embrace a life of purity. So Baba says that this is the service that you have to do, because impurity is so glorified in the world. So impure food, impure dressing, impure intentions. So if somebody has pure intentions, people call that as naive. And if somebody has impure intentions, then you are told that you are diplomatic or you're very tactful and this and that. But Baba says tactful doesn't mean that your intentions have to be impure. So when your intentions are pure and you know the tact how to realize them, that's being tactful, that's being Yuktiyukt. So, but in the world, people say that, if you have impure intentions and you find your way, that's being tactful. But that's not being tactful, that's very foolish. It's the karma that you do, and you will have to reap what you sow. So Baba is giving us so much understanding and swaman of purity, and only when you have this realization that I am a pure soul, and purity is the most dignified, most natural, most easy, and purity is something that I can embrace as an inheritance from my father, only then can you make the world pure. And Baba says this is the service that you children alone do, and this is the only service that the world needs, because all other service is not doing any good to the world. So this is something that Baba says. And then today Baba talks about speaking in a manner that is not so Baba says you don't have to speak too much. You have to speak necessary. So you have to speak what is necessary. Speak Yuktiyukt. Yuktiyukt means again tactful, but tactful with pure intention, not with selfish interest. So Yuktiyukt. So what is the difference between being Yuktiyukt and being cunning? So being Yuktiyukt is about having pure intention and knowing the tact how to find your way. And being cunning is about having selfish interest and intention and finding your way. So Baba says you have to be Yuktiyukt also. So you don't have to be, when you talk, you must know how to talk in a manner so that the soul gets what you're trying to give on Srimad. So your words have to be necessary, they have to be Yuktiyukt, and then they have to benefit the soul. So words have to be such that they are beneficial for yourself and for other souls. So these are the three qualifications that Baba says. And don't be So sometimes I will tell you this interesting thing that I'm trying to tell about this Yuktiyukt bowl. Sometimes we come from a vicious world. So there is something that we call manipulative talking. So when somebody is talking to you in a manner which you think is manipulative. So we have this genre where we say that this person is very manipulative. But what is manipulative and what is Yuktiyukt? So manipulative, what is the opposite of manipulative? Is it that you state things in a manner that that nobody benefits out of it? So let's say let's say somebody is very ill, and then you have to break that news to them, but then you also have to give them courage and patience and all of that thing. So would you just go and tell them that you're going to die in 3 days or 4 days, that's what the doctor says, because you want to be truthful? Or would you engage in some kind of a yukti so that you can give them the message to stay in caution, to take care, but you also don't invoke fear in them? So that's yukti. So yukti also requires that you talk with tact. You don't just talk without thinking, or in the name of truth just splurge everything. That's not yukti. So Baba says your words have to be yuktiyukt. But when do you say it's manipulative? When the intent is selfish. If the intent is for benefit, then that is called a yukti. So there is a difference between being manipulative and being yuktiyukt. And Baba says it is a quality that your words should be yuktiyukt. You don't have to be foolish in your talking. So you don't have to be put across something in the name of truth in such a manner that it doesn't serve the purpose. So, even when you speak Gyan, you must know how you present things in a manner that this makes sense to the other person. Now, if somebody is coming from bhakti and then first day itself you ruffle their feathers and then you tell them, no, bhakti is not the truth or this and that, that is not being yuktiyukt. And then you say, but that is the truth. No, that is not the truth. The truth has to be spoken with yukti. But mind you, what you speak should be truth, and what the intention with which you speak should be truthful. So that's what Baba is saying. So our words should be, they should be necessary. So don't speak unnecessarily, wastage of energy, that is yuktiyukt. And the third thing is beneficial for you and others. Whenever you are speaking something, sharing an information, just know that it's going to benefit you or the other, and benefit you spiritually, not in a manipulative way. So benefit you spiritually and benefit the other person spiritually. Otherwise, it's better to stay silent or not share that information. Okay, Om Shanti.